Hi there, my name is Christine, and today I'll be talking about my project, which is exploring ties between virtual spatial navigation and pattern separation in young adults. As the leading cause of dementia, Alzheimer's disease poses an increasing threat to a progressively aging society. Diagnosing Alzheimer's disease almost always takes place after symptom onset, and the process entails a series of cognitive exams, brain imaging, and biomarker tests. Identifying it in its earlier stages is an even larger challenge since symptoms manifest at a milder level and regular screening involving scans is impractical due to its cost. As such, there is a need for work towards the development of accessible and sensitive diagnostic tools. But what markers could such a tool use? Well, that's where the hippocampus comes in. It's a structure widely known as the Center for Memory Consolidation and is one of the first structures to undergo atrophy in Alzheimer's disease. Coincidentally, deficits in novel memory encoding and decreased spatial navigation abilities, both of which are hippocampal specific, are some of the earliest symptoms observed in Alzheimer's disease patients. Now, I just want to take a second to zoom into what I mean by hippocampal memory. The hippocampus is responsible for pattern separation, and this allows for similar memories to be stored as distinct entities from each other. For example, I will present you with two similar pictures. If I cover one up and I ask you to tell me what it is, you tell me that it's a seahorse, and vice versa. However, our brains are able to recognize these seahorses as different from each other, even when they aren't side by side for comparison. And we have pattern separation to thank for that. Spatial navigation is a bit more self-explanatory. It's the process of integrating and retaining spatial memories to make sense of one's surroundings. Similar to pattern separation, spatial navigation is also hippocampal dependent. And for these reasons, pattern separation ability and the capacity for spatial navigation are promising metrics to aid in the early detection of Alzheimer's disease. In addition, virtual tasks for assessing pattern separation and spatial navigation abilities have been developed. However, differences in memory formation and spatial navigational skills exist from person to person, and the relationship between these features has not yet reached a clear consensus in the literature. And that leads me to the purpose of this experiment. We were interested in exploring if and how individual aptitude for pattern separation may correlate with virtual spatial navigational abilities. We hypothesized that better performance on pattern separation tasks will directly correlate with better performance on virtual spatial navigational tasks. So how do we do this? As mentioned earlier, scientists have developed distinct behavioral tasks to assess pattern separation and spatial navigational abilities, respectively. In particular, we utilize the mnemonic similarity task, or MST, and the See Hero Quest task. The MST was developed by the Stark Lab at UCI to assess both pattern separation and general recognition abilities. It is a modified object discrimination task where participants are shown a sequence of items, each of which they will classify as new, old, or similar. The new category is meant for objects that had not been viewed in the context of the study. The old category is meant for objects that had been seen in the context of the study, and the similar category is meant for objects that resemble previously seen objects, but had at least one difference, rendering them similar but not identical. Accordingly, these similar objects are called lures, and the ability to correctly classify lures is referred to as the Lure Discrimination Index, or LDI, and this represents pattern separation ability. Classifying recurring objects as old and first encounter objects as new is called recognition memory. Recognition memory is not specific to the hippocampus. Now let's take a look at how this may work. The first few images will be new. For example, the picnic basket is new, the saxophone is new, clover new, and seahorse new. But when you see the clover again, you'd call it old, the rubber duck is new, and this picnic basket, we'd call it similar because it's not exactly the same as our previous picnic basket, and the same goes for the seahorse. Various tasks have found the MST to be a reliable predictor for hippocampal function. Hippocampal lesions have been found to correlate with lower LDI scores, pattern separation, while rec remains intact. The MST is also sensitive to age-related declines in memory. Sea Hero Quest is a phone-based video game developed as a collaboration between various labs, and it assesses an individual's virtual spatial navigation ability. Here, you play as a captain navigating the sea, and there are two aspects of spatial navigation that are assessed. That's path integration, and wayfinding. Wayfinding is using sensory cues from the environment to navigate to your destination. In the wayfinding levels, participants were shown a simplified map with particular locations marked, given as much time as they wanted to examine it, and then were tasked with navigating to those corresponding locations in that particular order. And once the navigation portion of the task begins, they can no longer access the map. Path integration is if you navigate to a different place in your environment, can you indicate the direction of your initial starting point? Previous studies have found Sea Hero Quest to be sensitive to age-related declines in navigation abilities. In addition, adults with an increased genetic risk for Alzheimer's disease, so they have an APOE4 allele, with no noticeable cognitive deficits, displayed suboptimal performance on Sea Hero Quest wayfinding levels. In our study, we recruited 19 young adults from the UCI community. Each participant completed a demographics and habits questionnaire, and then were subsequently administered the MST and Sea Hero Quest in a varied order. So participant A would complete survey and then MST and then Sea Hero Quest, whereas participant B would complete the survey and then Sea Hero Quest and then the MST. And this was done to control for possible cognitive effects that may arise from engaging with a particular task before attempting the other. Now for our results. There was a significant positive correlation between hippocampal memory and path integration ability. One outlier was removed for an n equals 18. There was also a significant positive correlation between hippocampal memory and wayfinding ability, and one outlier was removed for an n equals 18. There was a positive correlation between recognition memory and path integration ability. Again, one outlier was removed for an n equals 18. Finally, there was a weak correlation between recognition memory and wayfinding ability, with one outlier removed for an n equals 18. The order in which the tasks were presented had no significant effect on performance for pattern separation, recognition, or navigation. Here, we saw that performance on the MST generally positively correlated with performance on Sea Hero Quest. However, hippocampal specific memory had a stronger relationship with spatial navigational performance than did non-hippocampal specific memory. Finally, wayfinding ability significantly correlated with ONI pattern separation, so that's hippocampal memory, and had a weak association with recognition memory, non-hippocampal specific memory. The results of this study show promise for the development of more sensitive tasks in assessing hippocampal function by incorporating activities that tax pattern separation and virtual navigational ability. In addition, the MST and Sea Hero Quest tasks are purely virtual, low cost to administer, and not physically demanding, making them accessible to a large group of people and ideal for use in a clinical setting. In particular, elderly populations who are at the highest risk for Alzheimer's disease and may have concerns regarding mobility will have decreased risk for injury when participating in a virtual spatial task as opposed to a physical exploration task. In order to further investigate the nature of correlation between pattern separation performance and virtual spatial navigational ability, future studies should explore the potential effects of aging and other demographic factors on this relationship. Additionally, future experiments should alter the specific spatial navigational tasks to account for a more diverse range of individual spatial navigational ability. I would like to first thank Dr. Stark. I wholeheartedly appreciate your guidance, patience, and the opportunity to engage firsthand in research. Thank you to Luke and Nikki for your help in managing participant compensation and for helping Sea Hero Quest be set up on our end. A big thanks to Jess, my mentor, for all her support. Lastly, thank you to the rest of the Stark Lab for your encouragement, all the smiles. It's been an absolute pleasure to have been part of your team. Thank you.